Okay, folks, I'm back with another drawing. This was just a little sketch I was playing around with. This is a character named Black Wolf from a animation called Wizards. Wizards is a Ralph Bakshi animation. Ralph Bakshi also created the Lord of the Rings cartoon series that wasn't completed, and Rankin Bass finished it up with Return of the King. And Rankin Bass had made the Hobbit cartoon, and that's a drama that you can read about and look into. This was just kind of a quick sketch because I wanted to use this paper, this colored paper, in a style that the artist that did the art for Wizards, named Mike Ploog, who is also well known for having done Werewolf by Night. He did this style where I think what he used was like charcoal and then chalk for his art, and so this drawing's based off of that. And I kind of sketched it, and I thought, well, I'm going to use this ink brush and just see what kind of effect I get. Again, this is kind of in line with some of the things I've been talking about if you want to do art, just experiment. So don't really care. Just let your creative interests flow. And that's what I'm going to do here. So I'm really not going to get too bent out of shape if this doesn't turn out that great. This video is probably going to also run longer than what I've been wanting my videos to run. But one of the things I think we'll notice is that with this style of brush, that we're going to get a little bit more absorption into the paper, so the lines aren't going to be perfect or whatever. Now I'm trying to hold my pencil, brush in a way that allows me to rotate the brush and get a little bit more control. It's something I've been trying to develop since I learned about it, because my instinct is to hold it like this, and we all do that, and then you get this little bump here on your finger, but it's also limits your ability to turn and control, but it does stabilize it. It feels like better. This stabilization comes with practice, and this is a good time to try to do that when I don't really care about the outcome. But you can kind of see my hand. Now, the artist that would have done this, he would have probably said to hover. Try to hover your hand and not have it land on the paper. That's a hard thing for me to do. So really, I'm going to have to try to work in a way that takes advantage of the flow of how my hand works, and just see how this goes, because again, it's experiment. This is a great time to experiment. See, I already reverted back because I know I can kind of do this where I'm kind of sketching with my fingers a little bit and my wrist. And one of the issues with doing this is that when you're inking or you're drawing, if you're focused on holding the pen just like I did, see how my fingers crunch in like that? There's a lot of strain happening here in my hand and also here. And if you're going to do art, and I know this from other professionals, is that if you're holding your pen in a way that 8 hours a day, maybe you're doing a page for a comic book, and so you're penciling for 8 hours or you're inking for 8 hours, your hand is going to start feeling that strain, and it's going to lead to like carpal tunnel. So I'm not 100% happy with those lines already. Another thing that's going to happen though is we're going to come in here and we're going to drop in a shadow, because that's what Mike Ploog did in his version of it, and so we'll do that here too. I've kind of shaded out a little bit where I want to put those values, those darker values. My art tends to use more like pencil shading and less of this strict solid blacks, which I always admired in art, especially Mike Ploog or we look at people like Mark Silvestri, Jim Lee, a lot of comic book artists. I really look and admire that when they can drop those darks in there. Just like Todd McFarlane's another one. But Mike Ploog is kind of one of those guys who I would relate. He's not just a comic book artist in that classic sense, and maybe you could put him in with Alan Moore, who has a very gritty style and very dark, and I mean that in kind of like a gothic sense, I would say. But Mike Ploog can fit into maybe your Brian Froud. Brian Froud is well known for working with Jim Henson on Labyrinth and Dark Crystal. That's some great art. If you can just Google that, look that stuff up if you're not familiar with it. He based some of his characters, I think if I remember this right, off of potatoes. So you look at, not Gelflings, which were the main characters in Dark Crystal, but if you look at some of the podlings, they have a very potato look to it. Let's try to see if we can drop in his eye here. And just so while we're doing this, he can look at the audience as the audience looks at him. The story of Wizards is a lot of fun. It's these two brothers. This one here is the, I think the younger brother actually. His name is BLACKWOLF, and BLACKWOLF and his brother, I believe his name was Avatar, were born of this kind of earthy fairy, kind of like Mother Earth, like Gaia. And Avatar grew up with the magical side that was part of his mom's nature, and I guess I'm kind of going outside of what Mike Ploog did. I just dropped these little dots there. I don't think those were in that, but it doesn't matter. We're owning this. We're going to do our own version inspired by Mike Ploog, and then and Avatar went against that. So here, or Avatar was like his mother, and he had magic. And BLACKWOLF here was the one who went against his mother's nature and embraced technology in a world of fairies and goblins and all sorts of stuff. And kind of like Sauron, the goblins and orcs and whatever gravitated to him for power and influence, and they ravage different parts of the fantasy kingdoms. So then they, enslaved fairies and elves and all sorts of stuff. Fun little fact that I can remember about Wizards is I believe it was right after Mark Hamill did his first Star Wars movie as Luke Skywalker in A New Hope. He voices a character in this, and kind of funny because when you hear him, you're like, "Hey, that's Luke Skywalker." But this is kind of nice. You just try to feel the ink flowing out onto the page, kind of filling in. We'll do this side so we can kind of see what it is. But his mustache. There's an eggplant in your mustache. And if you get that quote, bonus points to you. And if you don't, I will give you a hint. Go to Twitter and look up Andy Merrill, or Google it and then look up his Twitter, and you're in for a treat because he's funny. There's an eggplant in your mustache. So anyway, so yeah, BLACKWOLF and Avatar. Avatar is trying to protect the Fae people, the Elven and Fairy people. And well, this was interesting because he kind of added a little bit of texture here with this mustache. And he did it on the side where the light is casting, so it's just kind of underneath his nose here. It was just a little bit. Let's go in here and try to get this cheekbone kind of filled in. And one of the most notable parts of of wizards, and I would encourage you to watch it. I don't necessarily, I hate giving things away. I mean, I love talking about it to people who know. I love sharing it with people who maybe don't know but would love to hear about it. I love to tell that kind of story of movies and cartoons and maybe get somebody excited about it. But I don't want to give it away on a video because then spoiler alert. But there is an assassin in the this world, and he's been sent by BLACKWOLF to go assassinate his brother Avatar, and the assassin's name is Peace, which is funny. So and really great drawing done, I believe, also by Mike Ploog, maybe. I wonder if he did I think he did the poster work for it, but a really great poster with Peace on top of his on top of a mount that he's wearing. Now I went ahead and tried to double that up, just to kind of not make all the line weight the same. That's something about art. Again, if you're you know, just coming into drawing or need some inspiration, and yeah, I think that people should just make art. I don't think you should be too concerned about the results initially, because you know, look, oh, look what I just did. It's a little different. See, I'm trying to scoot across this. This is kind of not very very smooth. Let's try, see if we can kind of change it up. I got this book here, and this is a little smoother. Maybe this will give me a little bit better control where I don't know if that's going to work. But we're just going to play through the mistake, because the mistakes are kind of a opportunity to what I call fail upward. Look at this. We can just kind of drop this, and maybe it's a little dark spot right there. Okay, so now we got to make sure we can see the picture. Fail upward. If it is even a failure. Because you know what? If you're doing something, and this is the thing about what I talked about with my sketchbook, and I'd like to show more sketches down the road, is that it's the issue of just doing something, right? And I think not only do I kind of come from a I don't care kind of place what people think, in a way, and but you know, you don't want people putting you down, you know, and telling you it sucks and whatever, and that's not what I'd like to do. I'd like to encourage people to draw, even if it's scribbling. Get your creative energy out. If you need encouragement, you want to share something, you can. I actually have a Facebook page for some of my art. Maybe I'll share that here, and I'll tag it with hashtag wizards. But my Facebook page for my art is facebook.com/Mike's Incredible Art. And that was just something I thought would be funny to name it. I don't think it said incredible. But getting out there, putting, you know, if you love drawing or you want to start to draw and like it, just do that. Don't let anything hold you back. Don't let any standard of, you know, be inspired by people who are really great and can do it, and eventually you'll get there. I would say there would be a time period where an image like this, I would have probably, even just doing what I'm doing right now, would have been, I had an aversion to. I would have had to feel like it needed to be perfect. It would have to represent some part of me that told myself, you can do better than that. You know, why are you settling for just this looking almost scribbleish kind of trash or whatever? You know, as you get hard on yourself. I think it's one of those things you learn from other people's criticisms, and this is where I want to hopefully encourage people to let that BS go and get on with just doing whatever you feel is creative. Whatever you feel is creative. Oh, shoot. And maybe, you know, maybe that's not drawing. maybe you're, I don't know why you'd be watching this video if you didn't like drawing, but maybe it's doing music, or maybe it's doing crafts, or sculpting. I've always been intrigued by sculpting. I just know that I don't have the patience to want to sit down and do that. We did a little bit of it when I was in school, and again, intrigued by the process, but I just it never really grabbed me. I never really had space for that kind of thing, or the resources, but I always had some kind of pen and paper and book around me. I didn't like that eyelid, so I just decided I'm going to fill it in with a shadow there and just kind of give it a shadow. I mean, he's got shadows on him, so that'll fit. Um, and so yeah, maybe that's what you just need, that encouragement to do that too, whatever it is. Now, there was a drop shadow here, and it kind of actually led up into the thing. And that's why I just kind of quick scribbled them in, so I had some kind of reference there. And kind of combine his eyebrows there. I want to hold off on the other eye. Ooh, yeah, it's a little spooky. It's got one eye staring at you, and the other one looks like it's like been blotted out, like it's some kind of he's got a cataract or something like that. Alright, so if you wonder what this was, it was an experiment with ink, and no, it wasn't. Not with a Sharpie, because I kind of thought maybe Mike Ploog used, or not that. I didn't think he used a marker. What I thought was that the marker I picked up, which was a Sharpie, just a regular old black Sharpie, had been worn down enough that it would give me a kind of charcoal look, because I don't know where, if I have a charcoal thing, and if I do, I don't know where it's at. And so I thought, oh, I'll just use a Sharpie that's been dried out and kind of give it that, you know, dried out, I don't know, look that looks kind of like charcoal or whatever. And then I went to go do it, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, not dried out enough. I had it marked as being dried out, like a dried out marker, so you can get effects for that. You know, with the dried out marking, kind of scribble in some stuff. It looks a little gradient-like or whatever, and but it wasn't enough. And next thing you know, it's all big, blotted out kind of. It was a blotted out mess, but I, you know, turned lemons into lemonade there, and I just kind of used it to do a like a lit from the top part, dark from the bottom, and just kind of looked it over and okay, that's interesting, but I wasn't satisfied with enough, definitely. And I had started sketching this later, and then I thought, oh, I'd like to do a video of this one where I ink it, see how that turns out. And I hated this so much that I'm like, I don't want people to be staring at that thing, because that thing looks like that. I mean, you know, I talk about like not caring or whatever, but in that case, I just thought it would be distracting how it looked, and otherwise, I might not have cared so much. This was filled in here, this section, and we're gonna try to take advantage of some negative space here, or some positive space. You decide. But when you're thinking in terms of like two tones, you're gonna, in general, you're still gonna have a sense of what's considered positive and negative space. And positive space is where the eye is probably reading the subject the most. And then the negative space is that area, you know, considered like in the background typically. And so here we do have positive and negative space. You could probably think of the negative space as being the shadow, and then the positive space as being the areas of detail that we can see. But, you know, if you're looking at like advertising, they're very conscious of the way they use positive and negative space to lead the viewer's eye. Now, this is interesting. This is starting to dry out, and I'm thinking, whoa, no, what do I do? I forgot. So this, you squeeze it a little bit. You might not see it. But, oh, look what I just did. Oh, balls. Well, that's how the cookie crumbles. Mr. Blotted Out Black Wolf, you're a heel anyway. Oh, look at that. He looks like a supermodel now. He's got himself a nice little birthmark. Well, anyway, so that's how you would get that ink out, and I think you want to be conscious of when having it drip out that it don't just bloop up on your drawing. I was being a little too careless, I guess. But we can keep on. Again, this probably isn't even going to end up in it anywhere. It's probably just going to end up in the shred bin or whatever. So this is good. This is good because look, we're just trucking on. This is a learning experience. There's probably some artists out there who would have the vision to maybe start adding blotches around it and make it look like maybe these are particles coming up or bubbles. And we could maybe even add some of those. We'll do that once we get, there's a shadow here. And that happens. Right in here, comes up here. I wasn't planning on really keeping this, so I'm not really too concerned with it. I was doing it really just for the video. And it's practice with this pen. I've used it a little bit, and I got it initially thinking that it was a watercolor brush. So they have these brushes that you can fill, like this one has ink in it. You can fill it with water. And then what you do is you just squeeze the water out through, like I did with this one, through the brush part. And then you have your little kit of watercolors, and you just kind of pick up your color, and then the water comes out on the end of the brush, so then you can kind of mix it around on your palette a little bit, and load your brush with some watercolor, and then go in and start coloring. And I'm not much of a watercolor person either. In fact, I'm really not much of a painter. I get a little, I don't like how some colors sometimes aren't even. That was a big issue until I got like a digital format where I could color things in and make it like a cell drawing. I like cartoons, and so I'd always watch cartoons that had cell animation, and I like that clean look along with like comic books, you know. And for me, I wanted my art to have clean lines, and so looking at this chaotic mess of like watercolors and paint and stuff to me was like that's not what I want, you know. So I avoided it for a long time, and then I started now that I you know, I have some ability to draw some shapes and some characters and stuff. I start looking at some of these artists who do use watercolor and how it kind of can have a primal effect. Like it seems like if you're looking for some chaos in your color, when it doesn't want to feel forced or anything like that, that's a really good way of doing it. Look at me, I am A.B. Black Wolf. He doesn't talk like that, but that's how I made him talk. And almost makes you kind of want to think, like, what if we squeeze? Well, let's hear. I want to do this too. I want to pencil in his name or ink in his name. I penciled it in. This ink's kind of cool though. You do kind of can create some kind of pirate-like look, as if it was like some unofficial document, you know, that they're writing out, you know, to parlay. Let's see, Wizards. I wrote that here. So that's the movie, the animated movie. Really good time. It's a lot of fun. And maybe what I'll do is draw some other stuff from movies and cartoons that I liked. And maybe there's a fan out there, or maybe you're just coming into it as another fan or whatever. Come on, Black Wolf, you jerk. I really want you to watch this movie because it's actually got a very fun ending. And there's actually a really funny scene where there's these bad guys, and one of them gets shot, and his friend is like so upset about it. And the guy who gets shot, his name is Fritz, and his buddy's like, Fritz, Fritz, they killed Fritz, you chocolatey covered. And he's just talking about like these elves being like custard filled, whatever. And then Fritz stands up and he goes, "Oh man, hey, I'm okay, buddy." And then the guy's like, "What? Oh man, you're always stealing my glory and whatever." And it's a funny scene. It's worth seeing. I won't ruin the whole scene for you, but it's pretty good. It's definitely a fun movie. So while I'm BSing there, I drop some more in there. These little garbage ink blots that I did, and I don't regret it because like I said, I probably won't keep this. I think I'll take a picture of it though and just post it on that facebook.com / Mike's Incredible Art. So that's it. I'll see. Yeah, sure, why not? All right, everybody. Well, thanks for watching, and maybe like it and subscribe. That'd be cool. Thanks.